Welcome and welcome back. So, if you were thinking about moving to Connecticut, I'm going to tell you five things you probably should know before you really decide on this date. These things might make you feel like, no problem, or these things might make you feel like it might not be the right state for me. The first thing that people might find really surprising about the state of Connecticut is it's a blue state. I personally wasn't surprised it was a blue state when I moved here from New York City because of how open minded everybody who I've personally encountered have been. But when we look historically from 2016 to 1992, in 1988, 51% of people voted Republican, and every election after that, from 1992 on, the vote has been primarily Democratic. But what's really interesting is that our local leadership is often Republican. My name is Keisha Thomas. I'm a licensed realtor and I help people relocate to this state all of the time. The second thing you should know about Connecticut is we have no tolls. After a really horrible accident, they removed all of the toll booths in Connecticut and we are just no tolls at all. I can't even imagine if they would put tolls back in because I drive up and down the state all the time going from county to county. It honestly would be too expensive if we had toll roads. But Connecticut doesn't have toll roads. We do have a car tax, and that's prorated based on how new your car is. And it does go down every year if your car is older. But I'd rather pay a couple of $100 a year in tax than if I am that person where I just drive all the time. So I'd rather just do the car tax and know it's taken care of and know that most of the roads are good, most of the roads are smooth. With no toll roads, that means that the state gets assistance from the government, the federal government, for some of the maintenance. So I think it pretty much kind of works out. Another thing that people will be like, oh, the taxes, right? Anytime somebody tells their family, I'm thinking about moving to Connecticut, the first thing they say is, oh my God, the taxes. So I do have to say this because this is kind of important. Normally, when you're in a high tax state, it's usually a state that is generally more desirable because of the culture, because of the climate, and because of the politics. So sometimes the cheapest discount is not always the best. And Connecticut is not a discount state, but your quality of life is going to be very good. So what about the taxes? Because it's real life. We all know there's two things that are certain, and one of them is taxes. So in Connecticut, with the exception of Hartford, a property is assessed at 70% of its market value, right? So if all of a sudden the value of your home goes up, then the amount you're going to be taxed goes up. But 70% of it is assessed at its market value, and then each town has its own mill rate. So it's not even the same tax across the state. Each town has its own mill rate. And just so you know, Greenwich has the lowest mill rate in the state, one of the lowest ones. Usually the really nice towns have low mill rates. So you shouldn't be discouraged by property taxes if you're interested. If that's like a big concern for you and you have a certain amount that you want to spend a year in taxes, that's not an issue.
Oh, I'm not at all worried.
Of course not.
We have people reach out to us all the time, and some of them are like, I only want to spend this amount of money a year. That's not a problem. Connecticut has something for everyone. So then we would just show you towns that fall into the tax bracket you prefer to be in. And that is one of the benefits of the state. We do have property taxes. They are considered higher compared to the nation, but our quality of living is also extremely high. And you can control which city or town that you move into so that you can have the tax amount that you feel comfortable with. Another thing that you need to know about Connecticut is the weather. Sometimes people look at the state and they're like, oh my God, it's so cold. I mean, I kid you not, it is the Northeast. It's not gonna be 70 degrees year round. I mean, I'm not outside all the time. Well, I am outside all the time, but not the average person probably isn't outside all of the time. So in our state, you're going to get very different weather in different areas. So the northern part of Connecticut is going to have cold winters, moderate snowfall. The southern and coastal Connecticut will have like cool winters. It's like snow, sometimes rain or sleet, and then long, hot, humid summers. And so you're going to kind of get the differences in different areas. So it's a running joke that New England has 12 seasons. We have winter, then we have the pretend spring where you think winter's over, and then we actually have the second winter. And then we'll have like the pollinating and actual spring, which is rain, and then we'll have summer, and then some people call it hell's front porch. Then we have fake fall, where you think it's cooling off, but no, there's another part of the summer, and then actual fall. So when I first moved here, it would just be like, all right, what part are we in? But sometimes the weather can just be so unpredictable. You could experience 2 to 3 seasons in a week. So I don't even think about that. Put your clothes away. Like, you pretty much are gonna go anywhere from needing a heavy jacket to a light jacket to no jacket in a week. So if you want steady eddy weather, New England and Connecticut is not for you. Our weather is surprising. Our weather is interesting. Our weather likes to keep it spicy. There is a saying that if you don't like the weather here, just wait 15 minutes. It will change. And so you'll get heat, but it won't be everlasting. We get upset if it's hot for like 7 days in a row. Like, that's a lot for us. Like 4 days, I'm like, all right, I'm tapping out. You know, it will get hot, but it's just not that hot. I'm the kind of person where I'll go and visit the heat, but I don't need to live in it, not year round. And when it snows, it is absolutely beautiful. And guess what? We are kind of prepared for the snow. So a lot of the people who are down south or who are looking at other parts of the country, when it does snow, it turns into chaos and mayhem. But here we pretty much deal with snow. We know what to do. The schools will go virtual. You know in advance when it's going to snow. It rarely ever is some weird storm. You will know if it's going to snow. And I do have to say, if it is going to snow, you need to get your gas at least one day before the snowstorm, because about 2 days after that snowstorm or the day after the snowstorm, they hike the gas prices up because, you know, the gas trucks can't get through. So whenever there's a storm or I hear there's a storm coming, you just fill your car up with gas. It'll be super cheap. And then there'll be a temporary price hike on the gas. And then everything goes back to normal. Very interesting here is there are no plastic bags. So Connecticut, and you know, I am all for the environment and I agree about the environment. And yes, we need to recycle and do all of these things. But real life, when that happened, I just could not function because paper bags are not going to hold all of my groceries. Now, Target and other stores around here have like a disposable kind of cloth bag, but there aren't any plastic bags. So there's 8 states that banned the single-use plastic bags: California, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Maine, New York, Oregon, and Vermont. We don't have single-use plastic bags, and I'm still adjusting to it. But it's a good thing, but it is something that you need to know. If you're coming from a state that doesn't have them banned and you come here, you're like, where are the plastic bags? And so these are kind of some things that you need to know about moving to Connecticut.